The story begins with Akira selling 1 million copies of his manga, but after getting famous, he gets resented by all the people he knew. However, it didn't matter to him until he found out that he was diagnosed with cancer. He only had 10 years to live, and at that point, Akira started to regret how he lived his life. While driving one day, he gets a call from his mother who couldn't care less about his cancer and only wants some money. This resulted in him getting furious and not noticing the mother-daughter in front of his car. In a state of panic, Akira turned his car and crashed, later finding himself in a place that was pitch black. Suddenly, a system panel appears in front of him, telling Akira that he has died and giving him some options to choose the mother of his liking. However, this time, Akira didn't want any success and ended up choosing a woman named Diva as his mother, in order to live a normal life, and just like that, he was born. It has been 7 years since that day, and currently, Akira is helping out Diva at the magic shop she runs. Soon after, his dad, Carl, returns and begins playing with him, making Akira realize that this is exactly what he wanted in life. Carl then remembers that he brought a cake for him, but just as he is about to eat it, the maid of their house, Arya, tells Akira that he can't eat snacks before dinner. Additionally, she reminds Akira that he skipped his sword lessons and takes him outside for training, only to mock Akira for being a sore loser. Apparently, she sees Akira as her enemy, and it didn't take long for him to notice that Arya likes his father, and from her view, Akira's existence is the proof of love between Carl and another woman. After the lessons end, Arya tells Akira to write 5 scrolls, and although it takes 2 hours to write 1 scroll, Akira has luckily found a cheat code. He can get the effect of the magic he wants by drawing a picture of it. This makes Akira wonder if he can do more things, and the next day, he accidentally ends up summoning a slime. Later, Arya tells Akira that she's not convinced and asks him to make 1 scroll in front of her. When Akira tries to make excuses, Arya mentions that she's not going to forgive him for lying. Ultimately, he gets irritated to the point that he runs out of the house after telling Arya that someone like her is better gone. Eventually, he calms down and decides to return to the house and apologize to Arya as he said a little too much. Just then, a monster appears behind him, and in the nick of time, Arya protects him from getting crushed by that monster but gets hurt in the process. That monster turns out to be a basilisk dragon, and it manages to catch Arya. Knowing that her time has come, she advises Akira to run away while she's being a bait. Confused, Akira asks the reason she's doing this, and Arya replies that he's her family and it's only natural that she protects him. This makes him realize that Arya's not like the editors who pushed him around in his previous life. Even though she is strict, she always makes sure to protect him. Ultimately, Akira gets back on his feet and uses his secret ability called the canvas. To Arya's surprise, a magic circle appears in front of him, and Akira decides to make a copy of that basilisk dragon, but a better one. Before long, his copy of the dragon materializes and begins fighting that other dragon. Simultaneously, Akira realizes that his consciousness doesn't have enough magic, but he decides not to back off and pours even more magic into his dragon, allowing it to tear apart the original one. After the battle ends, Akira starts feeling lightheaded and falls unconscious. The dragon he made also disappears, and Arya walks towards him, shocked regarding the fact that Akira had this kind of power hidden inside. She then gently lifts him into her arms, finally acknowledging that he truly is Carl and Diva's son. A few days later, Akira gains consciousness and gets told by his family that he was out for 3 days. Diva gives him a big hug and mentions the drain bat that sucked all his magic out, reassuring him that Carl will exterminate all the drain bats in their area. After looking at Arya, Akira is glad that she's safe and wonders if she used drain bats as an excuse to hide the fact that he used his hidden ability. Arya then informs him that Carl made him drink an elixir while he was unconscious, but that elixir is a super rare item that most adventurers can't get. Moreover, Diva didn't sleep for 3 days because of him, which is why he should be happy to have such good parents. Just then, Carl appears, informing Diva that the drain bats are nowhere to be found, only to see Akira wide awake. Akira apologizes for worrying him, to which Carl replies that there's nothing to apologize for, as he's glad that Akira is safe. Later that night, Akira is preparing to sleep and remembers that a person can die if their magic power reaches 0. Although he was saved thanks to the elixir, his body still feels like it's about to fall apart. Just then, Arya comes to his room with her 2 trophies on display, asking Akira if he's having trouble sleeping. After checking up on him, she figures that he's still having trouble circulating his magic. Furthermore, Arya notices that he's beet red and decides to call Diva, but gets told by Akira that he doesn't have a fever, and that the redness is definitely not because of her busty body. Ultimately, Arya decides to cuddle with him and informs Akira that she will help him circulate the magic inside his body. While they are in this position, Akira wonders why his Excalibur is acting this way, as he has never seen Arya this way before. Nonetheless, lying beside her feels so warm and soothing to Akira. Afterward, Akira apologizes to Arya and mentions that she loves his father, which is why she treated him so harshly. But he didn't want to acknowledge her feelings, which is why he tried to embarrass her in front of Carl. But to his surprise, Arya gets up and lets Akira know that she has thought about becoming his. She elaborates that there's no way someone like Carl would want to own her, but if it's Akira, it's possible. She further says that Akira is one of a kind, a summoner on whom anyone would want to get their hands on. Additionally, he managed to summon a dragon at such a young age, which makes him a prodigy even among summoners. Lastly, Arya tells him that she is not fit to raise someone as great as him. Hearing this makes Akira realize that he's having expectations put on him like his past life, and Arya questions the reason he has been hiding his powers. According to her, summoners are extremely rare, to the point that they are treated like nobles, and if the kingdom finds out about him, he will surely receive a ton of money, fame, and status. Akira realizes that this is his chance to make an excuse, and tells Arya that he doesn't want to be separated from his parents, which is why he has been hiding his powers. His dream is to stay as a country bumpkin and succeed the magic store, and if he becomes a summoner, that dream will be ruined. However, Arya replies that she'll have to consult with Carl, and since Akira is still very young, his future is something both he and his parents should decide. Moreover, she's a servant and can't keep any secrets from them. But on the other hand, if she becomes his chick, she won't be a servant anymore and will have to make his wishes her first priority. When Akira asks her to elaborate, Arya replies that instead of a servant, she will become his partner. Akira is shocked to hear this, and figures that she must be making this offer, so he backs out, and Arya can tell his parents. To deal with this, he accepts her offer and promises to tie the knot with her once he becomes an adult. With a flustered look on her face, Arya agrees, and with that, the two of them make a pinky promise not to tell anyone about his powers or about them getting married until he becomes an adult. The next day, Arya tells Akira that they will be examining her summoning abilities and mentions that she has always been curious about how the summoning process works. Confused, Akira asks her what she means, and when Arya tells him to stop joking, Akira lets her know that he never made a contract with the dragon. Following that, he shows her that all he needs to do is gather magic at his fingertips and make a mental image of what he wants to summon. Seeing this makes Arya realize that he can summon without a contract. But at the same time, she gets more curious and asks him to summon a certain creature, reassuring him that she will help him with magic power. Apparently, she told him to summon a golem, and the reason behind this is because it's nearly impossible to summon them. Nonetheless, Akira starts off by making a rough sketch of that golem, and after that, tells her to support him with her magic. With that being said, Akira manages to summon the golem she asked him, which leaves Arya in a state of awe. She realizes that Akira is not a genius but someone who defies the law of this world. Following that, Akira looks back to thank Arya for supporting him, only to see her giving him the deadliest stare known to men. But instead of scolding him, she tells Akira that this power can bring him a lot of danger, and asks him to never show this power to anyone until she completely understands it. Akira instantly agrees, and reminds her that they have already made an agreement about it. Later that day, she throws him onto the ground like the dog he is, and when Akira questions the reason she is making him practice with a sword when his aptitude is for magic, Arya replies that they promised each other to continue like usual. After his training is done, Akira takes out the magic scroll and makes an elixir on it. He then drinks that elixir, which replenishes his HP and MP completely. While this elixir is extremely difficult to find, Akira can create as many as he wants. Suddenly, a girl appears beside him, asking what he did with that scroll earlier. Akira freaks out as he didn't even notice her presence until she was right behind him and wonders if she saw him drawing. She further mentions that it was her first time seeing such a technique and asks if this little boy is a wizard. Judging by her looks, Akira figures that she must be an aristocrat and lets her know that it is a recovery scroll. But when she argues that she saw him drawing something, Akira replies that she must be mistaken and adds the fact that she has no right to call him a little boy when she's this young herself. To his surprise, she begins laughing, commenting on how Akira talks like an old man. Realizing that this is his chance to change the topic, Akira asks about her age and finds out that the two of them are of the same age, which means her calling him a little boy is inappropriate behavior against commoners. The girl replies that she thinks that because he's shorter than a chihuahua and reassures Akira that she doesn't have any hidden meaning behind it. Afterward, Akira also apologizes for getting worked up, and the girl asks Akira if he wants help in chopping firewood. However, he replies that it's not suitable for an aristocrat and says that this is his training for learning swordsmanship. After hearing this, that girl decides to help him out and tells Akira the correct way of holding a sword. Moreover, she asks him to throw a log towards him, and without thinking much, he complies. In an instant, she cuts that lodge in half, which catches Akira by surprise as he didn't even see her draw her sword. Not only that, but he is sure that even Arya is unable to do something like that. Even though she is a girl, having such mastery in swordsmanship impresses Akira. That girl then realizes that she hasn't introduced herself and informs Akira that her name is Medes, the son of Count Blinstead. After hearing the word son, Akira pauses for a moment and freaks out after finding out that the person in front of him is actually a boy. He is embarrassed over the fact that he treated her like a woman and figures that it's because he looks pretty cute. Following that, Medes asks for Akira's name, and he introduces himself as the son of Rainford Magic Shop owner. Medes is impressed that the son of a shop owner is practicing swordsmanship, and seeing him look flustered makes him wonder if Akira is still embarrassed about thinking that he was a girl. Nonetheless, Medes lets him know that he's just joking and informs Akira that he is the first friend he has made in this city. Additionally, He suggests meeting at this stop tomorrow as well, so Akira can tell him more about the city while he can teach him swordsmanship. A few days later, Akira is enjoying a warm bath with the mommy version of Frieren, but complains that he doesn't want to be treated like this and questions about how long they are going to keep taking baths together. Arya replies that it's common sense to take baths together in order to save firewood, but Akira doesn't care about all that and ends up getting out of the bath to wash himself. She then asks if Akira read the book she gave him last time, which reminds Akira that the book says it's impossible to summon inorganic substances. Arya replies that it's correct, saying that one can sign a contract with a living being, but not with something that doesn't possess a soul. However, only Akira knows that he was able to create an elixir and decides to keep this a secret, as his ability is pretty different from the others. Furthermore, she questions if the book is useful to him, to which Akira agrees, telling her that there are tons of monsters for summoning in that book along with explanations. Arya then suggests summoning something as an experiment, but Akira instantly refuses. This makes Arya mention that the reason she gave him the book was so they could figure out his ability together, and reminds Akira that he can die if he tries summoning a high-level being on his own. Lastly, she makes him promise not to practice summoning on his own, unless he has the magic of a legendary hero. Seeing Akira become curious about the hero, Arya explains that a goddess gave birth to a human made for war, who is the best swordsman with infinite magic. That hero possesses red eyes, which are a symbol of the goddess's night. She then asks if Akira wants to become someone like that as well, but he refuses, saying that all he dreams of is to become a slave to the shop. With that, Akira prepares to leave when suddenly Diva appears, giving Akira the IMAX view of those round pumpkins. After entertaining her in the bath, he manages to run away, and at the same time, Carl returns home. Diva notices the look on his face and asks if something happened at the guild, and Carl informs them that the evil cult has started kidnapping boys and girls. It is said that they are using these boys and girls as sacrifices, and while the security has been increased, Carl advises Akira not to go anywhere secluded. The next day, Medes and Akira continue their swordsmanship practice, and when they are done, he suggests roaming around the city. But Akira refuses and informs him about the evil cult. Furthermore, he suggests returning home because he is scared, considering Akira is just a commoner. Moreover, he is not learning swordsmanship to risk his life like this. Medes replies by saying that people who are strong also possess an equal amount of responsibility, and questions the reason Akira is learning swordsmanship if he's not prepared to take responsibility for others. Akira lets him know that it would be all for nothing if a talented person overextends and gets taken down because of it. But to his surprise, Medes gets pissed and decides to return home. Realizing that he messed up, Akira tries going after him when suddenly, Medes disappears from his sight, and before long, Akira begins feeling sleepy as well. Later that day, Akira wakes up and finds himself chained up in a prison cell along with Medes. But he isn't the only one, as there seem to be many others as well. Seeing this makes him instantly realize that he has been kidnapped by the cult. Soon after, Medes also wakes up and questions why Akira is in his bed. Annoyed, Akira replies that this is not his bedroom, and after taking a closer look, Medes freaks out and asks Akira about where they are. Akira advises him to keep his voice down and informs Medes that they have been kidnapped by the cult. Following that, Akira wonders if he should use his drawing and summon a golem, but if he does that, they could get buried alive. He then remembers the promise he made with Arya not to reveal his powers, but Akira doesn't seem to have any other choice, as this is a life-threatening situation. Meanwhile, Medes suggests breaking out by destroying this place and saving all the others who have been kidnapped. Akira reminds him that this is not a game, and their weapons are also taken away, so they have no way to defend themselves. To his shock, Medes begins using flame magic, which surprises Akira, as Medes has not only mastered swordsmanship, but can also use magic as well. Following that, Medes reassures Akira that he will protect him, as this is the responsibility of the strong. Akira then notices that Medes' left eye has turned red, and after remembering what Arya told him, he realizes that Medes is the hero. Knowing that this is an unexpected trump card, Akira figures that he doesn't need to summon the golem now. Following that, Medes easily melts the prison cell bars, which Akira finds pretty amazing, and asks if he isn't a normal noble. Medes tells him that the explanation can wait for later and suggests getting out. But before they get the chance to do anything else, the guards end up catching them in the act. Medes tells Akira to calm down and stay behind him. Without wasting any time, the guards prepare their magic spells and fire them toward the two of them. But Medes easily blocks the attacks using a flame pillar, causing the guards to wonder who they are. Afterward, Medes charges the guards and uses the ability named Caddis Flame to burn them to a crisp. Seeing this makes Akira realize that they can definitely escape, and figures that this is the reason he is so confident. Medes then suggests moving forward, and while Akira wants to escape this place, Medes wants to defeat the boss. After realizing what the other one said, they both get furious at each other. Meanwhile, Arya reassures Diva that Carl and the guards are already looking for Akira, but after looking at her with tears flowing down her face, Diva mentions that the fact that guards are making a move proves how serious the situation is. She further says that Akira might have been kidnapped by the cult, and tells Arya that she wouldn't know how to live her life if something happened to Akira. However, Arya tells Diva to believe in Akira as that child is pretty wise and will be back safely. On the other hand, Medes asks Akira if he really wants to escape with just the two of them. Akira tells her that while he acknowledges her outstanding strength, they don't understand the situation. Blindly charging the enemy is a risk, and it's better to escape and ask the adults for help. But Medes replies by saying that if they escape and tell the others about the hideout, they will be safe, but what will happen to the others who got captured here? When the help comes, will the cult members leave the others here, but are they going to erase all proof? After thinking about it, Akira tells her that they'll probably erase all the proof, and realizes that he can't argue with her at all. Apparently, he also seems to agree with Medes, as with her power and his summoning skills, they might win. With that being said, he lets Medes know that what he said is true, but if they challenge the evil cult and lose, not just the boys and girls who are captured, but the two of them will die as well. Deeper into the hideout, there are many sacrifices placed on the altar with the cult members surrounding it. Their boss mentions that while the souls of the sacrifices are not much, they are very pure, and whenever she sees it, it always makes her shiver. Elsewhere, Medes tells Akira that he wouldn't find betting her life for what he believes, but at the same time, he can't risk the life of others. This is why he runs away, telling Akira to escape while he takes care of the evil cult himself. Knowing that it's even more dangerous for her, Akira ends up following Medes, and soon after, they arrive at the place where the altar is present. Akira notices that they are inside a huge limestone cave, and are able to see the sea, which means they are not too far from the city. Just then, Medes tells him to crouch down, and the two of them watch the cult members carry the sacrifices towards the altar. Medes completely loses his cool after seeing this, and mentions that this is the first time he has felt this much anger. Without any hesitation, he gets up and yells at those cult members to release those people and repent to the goddess. Otherwise, he will take the place of the goddess and give them all the judgment. Suddenly, the thickest boss known to men appears behind them, asking why they are so serious. Instantly, Medes tries attacking her and jumps down, while the boss woman is surprised to see Medes use fire magic without a chant. After safely landing on the ground, Medes tells Akira to help the others while he takes care of the cult members. Before long, the cult members appear in front of them, and in a split second, Medes takes care of the first one, and stealing his sword, imbues his magic on that sword. While doing this, one of his eyes turns red, and after seeing the crimson eye, both the boss and the other cult members instantly recognize that he is the hero. But before they get the chance to even do something about it, Medes chops them faster than your situationship ghosts you. The remaining cult members figure that they can't deal with Medes alone and suggest calling for their leader, Karamise. Hearing this makes Medes realize that Karamise is their leader and challenges her to fight him one-on-one. Akira freaks out and tells Medes to escape and seek help, but he refuses, saying that he never shows his back to the enemy. To their surprise, Karamise gets excited after hearing these words and requests Medes to show her his justice. With that, she makes a giant magic circle appear and mentions that with this, she can make the best sacrifice for that certain person. Karamise further promises to answer with every ounce of her power to crush that justice of his. Before long, an advanced stone golem comes out of the magic circle, making Akira realize that the enemy leader is also a summoner. Knowing that they have stumbled upon a formidable enemy, Akira begins to wonder what might happen if Medes loses and looks at him, only to see the look of happiness on his face. This makes him wonder if Medes really thinks he can beat that thing. Following that, Medes mocks Karamise by making fun of her for trying to show off, and reassures Akira that he has some ways to deal with the golem using magic. As golems aren't affected by fire magic, Medes decides to pump his skills up a notch. He then starts gathering magic and simultaneously reads the incantations. With that being said, he finally hits the golem with his most powerful attack called the Gehenna Phoenix. Afterward, he is confident that the attack was enough to finish off that golem when suddenly, the golem's fist appears out of nowhere and crushes Medes underneath it. Karamise starts laughing like a freak while Akira stands there in disbelief, as even the greatest fire magic didn't leave a scratch on the golem. Karamise then mentions that his attack's effect was different from what she expected and figures that Medes is merely imitating the real thing. Furthermore, she decides to overlook this if Medes begs for forgiveness. However, Medes straight up refuses to apologize and mentions that he'd rather die than apologize to a hectic. Akira begins to panic and starts apologizing in Medes' stead, but Karamise doesn't appreciate Medes' behavior and makes the golem punch him in the face. Once again, she asks Medes if he feels like apologizing again, and while crushing his legs, wonders if he regrets his previous showcase of bravery. At this point, even Akira begins begging Medes to apologize, but Medes still refuses to apologize for his actions, especially against a scum like her. Realizing that Medes is in need of some more discipline, Karamise starts beating him even more. Eventually, she realizes that his conviction won't fold, and lets Medes know that adults have different ways of dealing with troublesome people like him. For instance, she can give his little dweeb friend a beating in his stead. With that, the golem prepares to punch Akira, and realizing that there's no time, Akira decides to use his summoning ability when suddenly, Medes ends up apologizing. He admits that he was in the wrong and apologizes to Akira as well, saying that he was right and they should have called for help. Moreover, he tells Akira to run away and begs Karamise to let Akira go. Seeing him makes Akira realize that Medi's tears aren't of someone fearing death, but rather someone with a sense of responsibility. He then starts to regret not being like Medi's in his past life as before. Instead of carrying responsibility and assisting people, he used to chase his success even if he had to hurt the people around him. However, Medi's is someone who would throw her life away for her pride, but also throw her pride if it means saving someone like him. After thinking about it, Akira finally locks in and tells Medi's that he doesn't have to apologize as he's not in the wrong. He further says that true power is not something you use for yourself, but use it for others' sake, and while saying that, he activates his ability. Following that, a square magic circle appears in front of them, and while the two of them look at Akira in shock, all he can wonder is if his magic power can even last. Currently, he is betting on the elixir he has been drinking, and with that being said, Akira surpasses his previous best and manages to summon an advanced golem. After seeing the golem appear, Medi's can't believe that Akira is a summoner, and at the same time, Karamize is also in disbelief, as even high-ranking summoners have problems summoning an advanced golem. Akira then remembers Arya's warning about how he can die if he carelessly summons a high-level monster, and before long begins feeling the magic quickly, exiting his body. Even though he chugged those elixirs like the neighborhood drunk down his beers, the amount of magic was still not enough. This reminds him of the time when his character design was rejected in his past life. He couldn't help but request more time and promised to get it done even if he had to stay awake for 3 days. His editor told him to redesign it with fewer lines, and when Akira argued that the design wouldn't be original, the editor couldn't care less and told Akira that the character and charm of the original work can be utilized. This flashback helps Akira realize that this is exactly what a pro does, and while he doesn't have enough magical energy, it doesn't matter to Akira as he's a pro, and the canvas is his field. With that being said, Akira decided to simplify his design while keeping the original characteristics and design preserved. Karamize is shocked by seeing the light increase and orders her golem to strike Akira's golem before the summoning is complete. Before long, the golem manages to punch Akira's golem, and realizing that she got him, Karamize starts to think how scared she felt for a moment. But as the dust clears, Akira appears and mentions that he barely managed to save his life. He further says that he managed to recreate the golem into something he can handle with his magic, and decides to showcase his creation for the first time. The golem he restructured seems to have a thinner waist than an Instagram model, and at this point, Medi's can't believe what he's seeing and remembers all the time Akira made himself look like a weakling just because he has been careful. Meanwhile, Karamize questions how one can change the appearance of a summoned beast while it's being summoned. She further says that the golem is skinny below the chest and can't be called an advanced golem. However, Akira argues that he has to cut it down in order to match his magical power, and while it doesn't really look good, it's definitely an advanced golem. Furthermore, he orders his golem not to attack the enemy golem as he needs to make sure Medi's is safe. On the other hand, if the summoner falls, summoned beasts will be destroyed. Additionally, Akira notices that his magic is about to run out and is aware that he needs to defeat the leader quickly. To start things off, he attacks Karamize and manages to steal Medi's from the golem. After catching her in his golem's hand, he begins running towards the exit. Just then, Karamize's golem blocks the exit, and she lets him know that she'd like to play with him some more. Akira begins to panic as he fails to defeat the leader while Karamize mentions how she wasn't aware that Akira would go after her. Following that, she pulls out a scroll and uses it to summon another beast called the Leviathan. It's a water monster that is strong against an earth-based golem. Immediately, it sends a huge wave of water towards them, but luckily, Akira manages to block it using a wall made out of rocks. Karamize compliments him for protecting the main body of the golem, and in return, Akira's golem attacks them with a light beam. This proves the fact that Akira's golem really is an advanced golem, but according to Karamize, his golem still can't protect him from water-based attacks. However, Akira tells her not to decide such things on her own, and before long, the golem begins to attack the Leviathan using the light beam. Confused, Karamize starts to wonder what kind of a person is capable of signing a contract with an advanced golem, and wonders who in the world he is. Following that, he tells Medi's to get away from the golem, but before he gets the chance to act, the Leviathan attacks the golem's arm, causing it to fall along with Medi's. Akira begins to panic and makes the golem attack with the light beam once again, but this time, the Leviathan easily protects itself using a water shield. Karamize tells Akira that the beam won't work anymore as it's against water, the natural enemy. Suddenly, Akira realizes that he is out of magic power and can no longer keep his golem alive. He begins to wonder if this is the end for him and his life in another world. But instead of getting overwhelmed, Akira starts to think as it's not unusual for him to get stumped for ideas. Ultimately, an idea pops into his head, and he takes out his scroll to draw an elixir and refill his magic. Meanwhile, Karamize attacks once again, and this time completely obliterates the golem. However, Akira completely ignores her and goes for the scroll, making Karamize wonder what Akira can even do with it. But it doesn't take long for Akira to realize that he has no magic to even draw anything as all of it is gone. If he were a real mage, he could have used his magic infusion skill, but as he can't do magic, he can't use infusion skill. Seeing that Akira has run out of ideas, Karamise decides to end him once and for all, and at the same time, Medes yells at Akira to run away as he has done enough. Instead of running away, Akira throws the scroll toward Medes and tells him to infuse the scroll with magic. Apparently, Akira was never able to use magic abilities, which helped him discover that he can activate the effects of items by drawing on scrolls imbued with magic. On the other hand, the Leviathan wraps itself around the golem, and Karamise asks Akira if after all the fun and excitement, he's self-destructing. Akira replies by saying that the magic has been infused, which makes Karamise wonder why he's still clinging onto the scroll she used to summon Leviathan. But to her surprise, he uses his blood as ink and manages to draw an elixir on that scroll. With that, both his HP and MP get fully recovered. However, Karamise refuses to believe that he can use elixir through a scroll and asks if Akira thinks such bluff would work. Akira tells her to see it for herself and uses his magic power to turn his golem into a fire-advanced golem. After seeing it, Karamise finds it impossible to believe that he turned that earth-based golem to a fire-based golem in order to overcome the water-based monster. But before she even gets the chance to do something, Akira's golem begins beating the Leviathan to a pulp, and the destruction force of fire ends up taking her life as well. Following that, an explosion occurs which catches Carl's attention, and his comrades decide to hurry and check it out while all Carl can wish for is his son to be safe. Elsewhere, Akira lies in Medes' lap, realizing that the magic spell failed and he's running out of magic power. Medes advises him to get out of this place as the enemy might come, but he lets him know that it's not necessary. He then asks if he's okay, to which he agrees and tells him to go ask for help. This results in Medes pointing towards the exit where all the knights of their city are present along with Carl. Akira gets embarrassed seeing his dad bawling like that and decides to ignore him. Meanwhile, Medes asks Akira if he will tell him his true identity, to which he replies, asking if he can keep it a secret. When Medes agrees, Akira lets him know that he is the heir to a magic store but can't use magic. This comes as a shock to Medes, but she understands that he doesn't want to reveal it and thanks Akira for saving his life. Once outside, Medes tells Akira that in order to become a leader who won't embarrass his people, he thought he had a lot to learn. This is why Medes learned swordsmanship, magic, and studied hard to get a scholarship. But ever since he met Akira, he realized that he still had a lot more to learn. This makes Akira smile, and he tells him that there are a lot of people who never realize that, which makes Medes pretty amazing. Following that, some knights inform Medes that his chariot is ready, and with that being said, he says his goodbyes to Akira. Furthermore, he informs Akira that Medes Fina is his true name and suggests meeting again. Akira thinks that it's an ill-fitted name, but nonetheless, tells Media to meet up tomorrow, reassuring him that he doesn't have to worry just because his name sounds like a girl, completely unaware that Medes is actually a girl. What makes Akira happy isn't the fact that he's close friends with a noble, but the fact that he has finally found a friend he can respect from the bottom of his heart. On her way back, Medes is informed that while she was away, her body double managed to lure out some rebels, and the army was able to capture them all. He further says that he will get preparations ready to return Medes, the princess, back to the palace. Hearing this makes Medes realize that she is no longer the Count's son, and that man apologizes for putting her through this trouble. But she doesn't seem to mind it, as it was a very enriching experience. On the other hand, Akira is suffering from pain, and both his parents are present by his side. Soon after, Arya appears and gets told by Diva that Akira is in a lot of pain. After taking a look, she figures that it is mana exhaustion and informs Diva that his mana nerves that transport magic have gotten clogged due to handling magic levels way beyond their natural limit. While they can heal him by inserting mana from the outside into his nerves, one wrong move can send him back to the lobby. Akira wonders if he won't be able to handle mana anymore, and if that will make him a normal person. However, he doesn't seem to mind that outcome at all, and will be more worried about his side chick, Medes, if he doesn't show up tomorrow. Later that night, Akira and Diva finally fall asleep, and at the same time, Arya is present on the rooftop, along with another girl who mentions that Akira is undoubtedly the singularity. Not only that, but he also seems to have someone to look after him. Furthermore, she asks Arya what she hopes to achieve by hiding someone like Akira when she's a shadow in charge of protecting the balance in the world. Arya lets her know that she has sealed that power and warns that girl not to touch Akira, or else she will consider her the enemy. That girl replies that she has no intention of going against Arya, and asks if she will be the one who takes care of the singularity. To her shock, Arya lets her know that she doesn't mind it, and after hearing this, that girl takes Arya's word and leaves while Arya stands there, wondering how long she will be able to keep those powers under control. Elsewhere, Akira always had the feeling of what would happen if he never saw Medes again, and a few days later, he finally had the strength to go to their meetup spot, but no one was there. Day after day, he went there, but in the end, Medes ghosted him harder than your crush. Just like that, the years kept passing by. In the current times, a princess orders a girl named Katia to find a great sorcerer to face the attack, and informs her that he is the strongest summoner she has ever seen. Apparently, in the year 698, on the northern side of the Stroheim kingdom, a horde of Odar appeared and eliminated all the knights who tried to challenge them. An Odar is an animal-shaped creature that takes the life and body of those who are breathing. and their victims turn into a new Odar. They can only be defeated by high-level magic, and in order to deal with them, the sorcerers and summoners of Pennsylvania had come. Thanks to them, the Odar were defeated, and like every other war, there were casualties that included the hero named Mayan and his second wife, the Princess of Stroheim, Celeria. After that, mankind formed an alliance to prepare for the next attack of Odar, and built the Great Wall on the northern side of Stroheim. 14 years have passed since then, and it's currently the year 712. People of Stroheim now live in peace, which includes Akira, who has just lost a betting game. Since the bet was 9 times, he has to pay 9,000 gold. To cheer themselves up, they pay a visit to the restaurant where the girls carry the weight of the world on their chest. There, Akira's friend advises him never to go for vengeance again, or he might end up in debt like this again. This annoys Akira, and he reminds his friend that the one who borrowed 100 gold and ended up with 1,000 gold debt was him. His friend begins laughing and promises to pay him back, but it doesn't even matter anymore as Akira has a debt of 9,000 gold. He realizes that this is what his store makes in an entire year, to which his friend replies that good fortune is not on their side, adding the fact that the son of the royal knight has no sword skill, and the son of the magic store owner has no magic skills. He further mentions that both his brother and sister are royal knights, which makes him the only failure of their family, and asks if Akira's family also pressures him like this as well. When Akira disagrees, his friend makes fun of him for not having any magic, only to realize that it might have hurt Akira. Instantly, he apologizes and mentions how Akira's magic nerve was broken when he was a kid. Akira lets him know that he doesn't mind, and says that his magic was really weak from the start, and he always relayed on scroll like these days. He's happy to be working in the store, and because Akira is a second generation, he doesn't have to worry about securing a job or about a wedding budget. Just then, the girl with big dairy pillows named Louisa appears, and advises them not to talk about troublesome things, as young men like them should chase their dreams. She further says that listening to youngsters is an adult's duty, adding the fact that Akira can be a prince in her eyes only by working in the store. While Akira finds it hard not to lock his eyes on her jugs, Louisa suggests going on a date with him after the store is closed. But when Akira refuses, his friend instantly jumps in and agrees to take her instead. Lauja asks if he runs a store as well, and when he disagrees, she replies that only love won't buy her food and walks away. After that, Akira's friend asks him the reason he rejected Lauja, and Akira replies that she was just flirting. This makes his friend mention that he doesn't seem to have any interest in girls and questions if he swings the other way. Just then, Lauja calls for Akira and informs him that Arya is here to pick him up. After seeing Arya, his friend finds out the reason Akira doesn't need a girlfriend and asks how he managed to make such a busty elf his maid in the first place. On their way back, Arya tells Akira that he has guests waiting for him, which makes him wonder if the debt collector has already come. But Arya says that they are from the castle, causing Akira to question what they want from him. While walking alongside her, Akira thinks about how Arya has always taken care of him, and he sees her as family. His magic nerve was broken because of the abduction incident, and since then, he can't use magic anymore, but he can use a little bit as long as there is a scroll. Just then, he notices that they are currently in a dating place and locks eyes with Arya, causing him to get embarrassed. Furthermore, he reminds himself that Arya is his family, and he can't feel romantic vibes from her. At the same time, Arya notices others holding hands and ends up grabbing Akira's hand as well. She then reassures him that while Akira can't use magic anymore, he is still the Akira she knows. Even though he lost his magic, Arya, his mother, and his father treated him the same way, and while he's a useless man, they still accepted him. But all that will be lost if he fails to pay that 9,000 gold back. Suddenly, a girl appears in front of them, asking Akira if he's the Great Summoner. Akira begins to panic and wonders if she knows about his power. Nonetheless, he asks that girl if she came from the castle. After hearing this, that girl figures out that he really is Akira and apologizes for making her maid pick him up. Following that, Akira asks what she means by summoner, which makes her realize that words won't work for Akira. Suddenly, she takes out her sword and showcases an attack which Akira instantly recognizes, as this attack is just like the one Medes used. That girl informs Akira that the attack he saw a few years back was rudimentary, but the one she used is not. She further elaborates that she is able to make countless slashes with only one swing, and this secret technique is from the royals, the Mayan family. Ultimately, she introduces herself as the captain of the Royal Knights, the first daughter of Mayan, named Keisha, who is also Medes' sword instructor. A bright smile appears on his face, but he quickly hides it and tells Keisha that he hasn't seen Medes for 8 years. Additionally, Akira tries to make Keisha believe that she got the wrong person and asks if he can leave, but gets stopped by Keisha, who says that Medes sent her here for some reason which is related to his memories with her. Akira gets a bit frustrated as Medes promised to keep it a secret, and admits that Arya was right about his ability, dragging him into more problems. Afterward, Keisha lets Akira know that she didn't come here to hurt him and suggests talking for a moment. With that being said, the two of them visit a cafe where Keisha orders a cake for herself, while Akira decides to go with an herb tea. As they wait for their order, Akira realizes that he feels being interrogated and decides to improve the atmosphere. For that, he starts off by complimenting Keisha for being so pretty. To his surprise, Keisha begins to blush and tells Akira to pick girls the same age as him. Seeing that it worked better than he expected, Akira decides to go with the flow and continues praising her for being the prettiest girl alive. Eventually, Keisha lets him know that she is much older than him, but Akira still manages to riz her up by saying that she looks much younger. Just then, something pops in his head and Akira remembers that Keisha was one of the choices of mother he had after he died, and lets her know that she was his prospective mother. Keisha gets confused and tells Akira that she is not even married yet and has been a lonely virgin for 24 years. Realizing what he just said, Akira apologizes and sits back on his seat. However, he can't help but wonder if all his former prospective mothers exist in this world. Knowing that Keisha was his second choice for a mother, Akira begins to feel awkward and ultimately asks the reason she visited him. This makes Keisha decide to get straight to the point and ask Akira to join the Dragon Slayer team she has formed. Realizing that Keisha knows about his powers, he decides to tell her the truth and mentions that he could use summon magic, but it was a long time ago. Unfortunately, there was an incident when he was a kid, and now Akira is unable to use magic anymore. Even for low-level magic, he needs a scroll and is sure he can't be of help to her party, let alone fight a monster. Hearing this reminds Keisha that the princess told her that Akira keeps his talent from people, but when he finds his friends in danger, he fights to die for them. With that, Keisha questions the reason he is hiding his powers, to which Akira replies that he really lost his magic, and everyone and their mothers are aware of this. Instead of backing out, Keisha decides to give him a magic supply and informs him about the great sorcerer in her party who is from a royal family. Furthermore, Keisha mentions that she heard Akira can summon golems and tells him that they need it to counter a fire dragon. However, seeing that Akira is still hesitating, Keisha decides to give him a reward of 10,000 gold, which instantly catches his attention, as with this much gold, Akira can easily pay off his debt. Judging by the look on his face, Keisha realizes that he seems interested and reminds him that all he needs to do is summon a golem with the magic supply she will provide. But if he decides not to help her, Keisha will just ask his parents about Akira's magic and the reason they didn't report the summoner to the castle. This makes Akira argue that Keisha promised not to threaten him, to which she replies that she's not threatening, as it's normal for the captain of royal knights to find out why they are hiding such a useful man from the kingdom. Having no other choice, Akira ends up accepting her offer as long as she supplies magic. Upon hearing this, a bright smile appears on Keisha's face, as she's glad she wouldn't have to lock him up in jail anymore. Lastly, Keisha tells Akira that they will set out tomorrow morning, while all Akira can think of is how lucky he was not to choose Keisha as his mother. Before she leaves, Akira asks Keisha to keep it a secret from his parents, as he doesn't want them to know about his debt, and she agrees. The next morning, a loud lowly named Prahl appears and asks Akira how he can call himself a great summoner when he can't summon without magic injection. She then asks Keisha if she really thought this inferior boy could summon a high-level golem. Keisha informs her that he lost his magic in an incident and could summon a high-level golem when he was younger. However, Prahl refuses to believe this and decides to test it on her own. Afterwards, she gives some of her magic to Akira, and after using her magic, he manages to summon a low-level golem flawlessly. While Keisha is surprised, Loli mentions that it's a low-level golem when suddenly, she begins feeling lightheaded and wonders why her magic is draining so fast. Furthermore, Prahl realizes that Akira's magic pulse is messed up, and the magic she injected into him didn't get into his magic pocket. Ultimately, she falls to the ground due to exhaustion and tells Keisha that her magic wasn't sent to Akira's magic pocket, but straight to the golem instead. Apparently, everyone who can use magic has a thing called a magic pocket. The amount of magic in a person depends on the size of their magic pocket. The ability called injection that Prahl is using sends magic from her pocket to the receiver's pocket. But as Akira's magic pulse had been messed up, no matter how much magic Prahl injected, it would only drain her own magic. Keisha argues that it's impossible for a sorcerer like her to run out of magic, to which she replies that Akira needs more magic than normally needed to summon a golem. Hearing this makes Keisha realize that Akira really was telling the truth about his magic pulse, and asks Prahl if she can recover his magic pulse. Since Prahl is the great sorcerer from the greatest sorcerer family, she might be able to find a way. Meanwhile, Akira starts to panic after hearing this, as just when he thought he got his peaceful life by losing magic, a girl appears who can recover his broken magic pulse. However, Prahl straight up refuses, saying that it's impossible. She further mentions that the treatment of mana disorders is incredibly complex, and currently, they don't even have the necessary equipment. The only choice Akira has is to come to Pennsylvania with 100,000 gold so he can get examined. Knowing that no one in his bloodline has seen this much money, Akira figures that he will be useless in a dragon attack, to which Prahl agrees, but according to Keisha, he will be extremely valuable. When Prahl argues with Keisha, she mentions that summoning even an initial golem is a big deal, as it being a shield against the demon is enough. Ultimately, Keisha decides to share her magic if she has to in order to give Akira a chance. While Keisha is aware that she will be enough to deal with a dragon, the real purpose of this mission is to test the abilities of Akira. With that, she asks Prahl to pull out that thing, letting her know that it's specifically for Akira. She freaks out after hearing this and says that it's too good for a dweeb like him. Giving such a high-class thing to Akira would be like throwing it in a gutter. The thing they seem to be discussing is a mantle that is made in Pennsylvania, specifically for magicians. It has the ability to conjure beforehand like a scroll, while recovery and protection spells are activated automatically. When Akira asks if it's expensive, Keisha agrees and tells him that they are not made anywhere except in the greatest magical land, and asks Akira to take it as a gesture of sincere intentions. Akira mentions how he didn't expect to be taken care of to that extent and decides to try and do his best in the upcoming battle. With that, they decide to move forward, and before long, they appear face to face with the dragon, where Prahl uses her lightning strike to attack it. While it screams in pain, Keisha uses this chance to easily behead it with a single sword swing, impressing Akira, who is sitting afar because he bruised his knee. Seeing their battle made him realize that the two of them are insanely strong and don't understand what they want from him. Later that day, the girls decide to take a dip in the hot spring before fighting the fire dragon. Prahl asks Keisha if she needs regeneration magic, but she disagrees and tells her that Akira might need it more for his bruised knee. But according to Prahl, using such spells on Akira is a waste of money, and upon hearing his name, Akira accidentally ends up looking at them. This makes Prahl furious, and she mentions how Akira is not only a slacker but a gooner as well. Meanwhile, Akira thinks about how he wants to go to the spring as well, but at the very least, he has his own precious method of recovery, which is the scrolls with prepared drawings of elixir. Without wasting any time, Akira begins absorbing the elixir from the scrolls, and remembers that he has hidden the ability to draw non-living things from Arya as well. All Arya ever does is take care of him, while Akira lied to her once again, as he told Arya that it is a delivery of scrolls, not an invitation to a deadly mission. Just then, he gets interrupted by Prahl, who questions what he's doing with that scroll. After taking a closer look, she wonders if he's using it because he bruised his knee and calls Akira a coward. In the meantime, Keisha notices that the color of water around Prahl is changing, which makes her realize that it's not an ordinary spring but a magic one. Seeing that the color around Prahl has changed to the color gold, Keisha figures that this means she has the magic of the highest order. However, the color of the water around Keisha is golden as well, even though she's a swordsman. To everyone's surprise, Keisha tells Akira to come in as well, which is something Prahl doesn't appreciate. But Keisha argues that it's a magical spring and might have an effect on the magic circulation of his nerves. Having no other choice, Prahl agrees to let him in, and ultimately, he takes a dip with his hot dog out and about. Just then, he begins feeling something strange, and the color around his body starts glowing in a rainbow hue. Prahl blames Akira for the reason this magical hot spring has turned into a pride flag, but he doesn't seem to understand what's happening either. Keisha jumps in and mentions that it's probably because Akira has an amazing magical power. To their surprise, a reaction in the form of a rainbow glow is something Prahl has seen for the first time as well, and even someone as talented as her doesn't seem to know the reason. She figures that it's because Akira is a weirdo, and explains that there are 5 variants of response glow from a magical source depending on the amount of magic. If there is no magic power, there is no change, and if there is, it will be displayed in order of its volume from green to gold. However, the rainbow glow is not mentioned in any grimoire, and it's like Akira is a living mockery of someone as educated as Prahl. Ultimately, she asks Akira if he is some sort of monster or a person who is immeasurably stupid. Later that night, Prahl gives Keisha a hot drink and lets her know that she has come to replace her at her post. But when Keisha lets her know that she can still rest for a while, Prahl decides to sit next to her. While having a drink together, Prahl mentions that Akira has left the girls to keep watch while he's in a deep sleep. Keisha replies that it's because traveling and sleeping outdoors are new to Akira, and asks the reason Prahl always makes such a fuss about him. Prahl mentions that she can understand Keisha's interest in Akira, as there aren't many summoners, but adds that he can't summon an advanced golem with this kind of disruption of magic, and she isn't even sure if Akira can even make a contract with it. Keisha lets her know that summoning an advanced golem at such a young age is something even she finds hard to believe, but the person who told her couldn't have lied. Additionally, it all fell into place when she did her research and found Akira's dad's name. After Prahl is told that Akira's father is Carl, she gets shocked and asks Keisha if she's talking about that infamous Carl Rainford. Keisha agrees and further informs Prahl that even at the Pennsylvania Academy that is full of geniuses, Carl was called the best wizard and even described as the second coming of the devil. This reminds Prahl that 18 years ago, Carl left Pennsylvania and disappeared, but he was mocked for not taking part in the war with the Odirians. After hearing the whole story, Prahl mentions that summoning an advanced golem at such a young age is impossible, but in the case of Carl's son, it starts to sound pretty believable. Furthermore, Prahl says that she was starting to wonder why such a discreet person like Keisha was taking interest in Akira, to which Keisha replies that when she first saw Akira, he didn't seem like a stranger to her but someone close, like a relative. This is why she believes that she wants to look after him. The next day they are finally faced with the fire dragon, and Prahl tells Akira to summon the golem. To everyone's surprise, Akira successfully manages to summon an advanced golem this time, and after taking a look at how huge that thing is, Prahl mentions that it's definitely an advanced golem. Suddenly, Prahl feels something weird going on with her body, and tells Keisha to hurry as her mana is dropping faster than a priest's faith after reading your search history. Meanwhile, Keisha tells Akira to keep the dragon's attention on the front line, and even though Akira is doing his best, he can't really control the golem due to a lack of magic. When he requests more mana, Akira gets yelled at by Prawl, who tells him to do something about his mana consumption instead. Just then, Keisha warns them to be careful as it's about to attack with fire breath. However, the advanced golem tanks the attacks, and Keisha asks Akira to keep covering for the breath. On the other hand, Prawl notices that her mana flow is sucking out without end, and while she's impressed that Akira could summon an advanced golem, he's pretty useless in this state. Following that, Prawl decides to temporarily increase mana efficiency by tying up Akira's severed nerves, as that should help a little. With that, the efficiency improves a little, but she can't seem to hold out much longer and asks Keisha to finish the dragon off. With that, Keisha charges the fire dragon and uses an ability called Bloody Ashes. This ability allows her to do up to 100 attacks per second on the enemy, and is said to even surpass the speed of light. Keisha is also from the notorious bloodline named Mayan, who are blessed with the red eye buff, which has also become known in many countries as the Bloody Berserker. Akira is shocked to see Keisha defeat such a giant dragon with a single swing of her sword, and knowing that this is the power of a hero, he wonders if Metis will become like that in the future as well. Following that, she lets Akira know that she is now fully convinced that he has a contract with an advanced golem, to which he hesitantly agrees, and gives all the credits to Prawl, who helped him with the mana while all he did was summon. However, Keisha replies that while it's hard to provide mana, making a contract with a summoned creature is not very easy. The spellcaster either bends the beast to their side or inherits it from a predecessor, and there are very few who can make a contract with a high-level creature. To do that at such a young age, Keisha has never heard of such a thing, which makes her question the reason he hid this gift, and wonders if Carl ordered him to do so. Akira begins thinking about how Keisha was suspicious from the start, and can't understand the reason she is so eager to find out about his powers. In order to get away with it, Akira asks what she's talking about or what this has to do with his father, to which Keisha replies that if he is Carl's project, it all fits. According to Keisha, Carl must have hidden everything to develop his son's ability that has his blood in it. Confused, Akira argues that his father is just a shopkeeper, but Prawl intervenes, telling Akira that at first, she thought it was all just a lie, but he showed them his abilities in a real battle. For someone to form a contract with such a high-level beast seems impossible, and the only thing that comes to her mind is that someone else with a lot of power must have helped him make it. The only person that she believes could have helped is the most talented spellcaster in history, Carl Rainford. However, Akira is still confused about what they are talking about, and lets them know that he has never heard of his father being the most talented man in history. All Akira wanted was to choose a simple mother, but ended up with a father of that sort. Realizing that he may be the son of a genius, Akira begins to panic as he doesn't want that kind of trouble. Eventually, Keisha mentions that she doesn't understand why Carl is hiding his powers and apologizes for hiding the true purpose of this trip. Apparently, they needed to test Akira's abilities, and in no way were they trying to hurt him. Before he gets the chance to say anything, the ground suddenly starts shaking. The girls begin to wonder if it's an earthquake until Prawl notices something and tells Keisha to look behind. There, she finds a dragon staring into her soul, and thinking that it must be the fire dragon, Keisha wonders if she didn't finish it off. But Prawl mentions that it wasn't just the fire dragon's nest, and regrets disturbing the other divine beast who slept here. The list of divine beasts contains the divine beast of earth, Norm, the divine beast of water, Leviathan, and the divine beast of wind, Elfin. But the strongest of them all is the divine beast of fire, called the Salamander. These divine beasts rise above all other living beings and will not tolerate desecration of their territory. Prawl advises Keisha not to do anything, as not even the airbags on her chest can protect her from a direct attack. Salamander is no ordinary monster, but one that is worshipped as a god. When Akira asks if they can just run away, Prawl tells him not to make any sudden moves, as its breath can melt everything within 100 meters at a temperature of over 3,000 degrees. Remembering that Prawl is a talented magician, Akira asks if she can do something with ice magic, but gets told that she is not very good at it. This makes Akira argue that she can't be called a genius, and Prawl replies that one can't master all the attributes. Even if she had ice magic, it would be useless, as salamanders are the strongest of divine beasts. In order to fight this thing, they will need support from the divine beasts, Elfin, or the combined effort of the other two, Norm and Leviathan. Hearing the word Leviathan makes Akira ask if that's hard to summon, to which Prawl replies that divine beasts do not make contracts with humans, and if someone can summon them, they are no longer human. This makes Akira realize that the cult leader he fought wasn't human. At the same time, Keisha intervenes and reminds the two of them that they need to either fight or retreat. Knowing that they can be attacked if they turn their backs on him, the three of them start to slowly back away. But the salamander had more brain cells than all three of them combined, and instantly began charging his attack. Just in time, Prawl managed to put a shield in front of them even though she had used a lot of mana. Keisha tells Prawl that she can take care of the divine beast, and advises the two of them to run away. Without thinking much, she begins running towards the dragon while Prawl tells Akira to summon the golem. With the golem as a barrier, they will have an escape route, and she will provide him with the mana needed. However, Akira tells her that she is already using so much mana, and if she gives him more in this situation, she might have magic depletion. But Prawl doesn't seem to care at the moment and tells Akira that they can't just run away, leaving that thick hero as bait. With that being said, Akira makes his decision and eventually summons the advanced golem. Prawl praises him for doing a good job and mentions that she will now take care of restoring his magical nerves. Akira is shocked to hear this, as while maintaining the magic barrier, Prawl will not only be providing him with mana, but is also going to cure his nerves at the same time. Without wasting any time, she begins chanting the incantations and ends up using a fourth spell. This spell allows the cloud to gather and pour down rain, which makes things easier for Keisha. With that, Prawl thinks that if she can lower Akira's magic consumption, the golem's mobility and control will increase, and they will be able to escape. For that, she will be taking care of his nerves one by one and connecting the most distant ones together. But as soon as she enters his body, Prawl notices a bright rainbow light and realizes that this is a mana pocket. Turns out his mana pocket was hidden behind the severed nerves, but what surprises her the most is that it has bottomless magical power, far superior to her own. Apparently, Prawl first learned about magic pockets during her lectures, and was taught that the average magician's mana pocket is the size of a human, while outstanding mages may have it the size of a human. Unlike the other magicians, Prawl's mana pocket was pretty big, but comparing it to Akira's mana pocket, it doesn't even hold a candle, as that can't even be called big but huge. Prawl then begins to wonder how one can hide a pocket this size, and after looking closely, she realizes that the torn magical nerves around the pocket are hiding it. This means someone was deliberately trying to hide his mana pocket. Suddenly, she hears a voice, telling her to change to physical protection, and back in the real world, she notices that the salamander is about to crush them. Although both of them manage to get away just in time, the salamander doesn't stop and attacks them with its fire breath. The breath hotter than 3,000 Celsius directly hits Prawl in the chest. The salamander continues burning everything around them to a crisp, and Keisha, who is standing afar, realizes that even for Prawl, enduring such an attack is hard. But instead of running to rescue them, Keisha notices that the salamander is standing pretty close to her, and its weak point is in her reach. Instantly, she uses the Blood Ashes ability again and attacks that weak area. The salamander screams in pain, and at the same time, Keisha notices a pool of lava about to fall on her from the area she just attacked. Afterward, Akira walks away with Prawl on his back and gets mocked for leaving Keisha and running away. Akira mentions that even with magical exhaustion and burns over her body, Prawl's tongue is as sharp as ever. But when she keeps on confronting Akira for abandoning his comrades, Akira lets her know that he's not running away and suggests coming up with a battle tactic. After putting her down, he informs her that he has a scroll with elixir, but of course, she doesn't believe it at first. However, Akira reassures her that her mana will be restored and asks Prawl to give everything to him. She begins to wonder if he's going to run away on his golem, but Akira replies that he's going to defeat the salamander, and while it may not be the most appropriate attribute, he will try to summon the divine beast of water, Leviathan. On the other hand, Medes figures that Akira must be very angry at her for breaking their promise, and while she is aware that this might get him in trouble, Medes believes that this country needs his powers. Do you think Akira will be able to defeat Salamander? Comment, summon, if you'd like a part 2 of this series. As usual, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.